Gale is a 3D mech action shooter game that was released for the PlayStation in Japan only in 2000, and the game would focus a lot around simulation and combat style elements where you take control of mechanized robot style characters that would be very reflective of other types of mech style shooters seen on the PlayStation during that time that were considered to be extremely popular within Japan and are still popular even to this day. So what the idea of this game is that you have to go through a batch of different types of training missions in order to get used to the various combat aesthetics and elements and to complete objectives, and then you are set with various tasks and then you're sent on your way to complete various missions where you have to complete different objectives and eliminate any hostile enemies in your way. So the game presents a lot of different tasks for you to complete. Now a lot of these mech shooters, especially during the days of the PlayStation, because with the control systems, as they wouldn't have been as refined compared to more modern games, the controls usually are quite clunky, and this game is no exception to that element. But it does have some nice features, it does have some decent graphics, and there's some really cool kind of aesthetics to what is represented in the game. But just know that it takes a while, especially when you're starting out, in order to get ahead in the game and to start getting into the missions. You do have to play and complete some of the training missions in order to progress forward, so for some players that might be a little bit frustrating. But even regardless of that, you'll find that in the early missions, while you do have objectives, you do have to defeat enemies. Now you can shoot different variety of weapons and you can customize your characters and add in different attributes and even other weapon types to your mechs to increase your power, give yourself more health and that. But when you're first starting out, you won't have access to any of those abilities really whatsoever. So you'll find that in order for you to do any severe damage to opponents will be extremely limited, and you'll find that opponents that you will face will destroy you very, very quickly. And the truth is, even though you're hitting them with the same style of weapons and explosives and so forth, you do very little damage to them, but they do severe damage to you. So it's all about tactics. It's really just getting used to the controls and understanding how to maneuver and dodge incoming attacks, which is kind of hard to do because the game, even though you can jump and you can move around, but when you're moving around it's very slow, sluggish and clunky, as is with the premise with a lot of these games. And you'll find that a lot of times it's very hard to dodge attacks because you'll find that you'll end up getting hit a lot more than you would like to, and then trying to get used to the cameras because there's so many elements, and because of the clunkiness of the controls there's so many features that you have to be aware of that sometimes it can hamper the experience. Now I know for myself, I didn't play as many of these mech shooters on the PlayStation, and even in general back in the day there was only a handful of them I played. One of the first ones I did play, I remember, was the first Armored Core game, and I played a demo of that. Now I have to admit, now I really enjoyed that game, and again, compared to other mech shooters that were out there, I did play a few others after that and I found them to be good, but again they were quite clunky and a bit sluggish. Armored Core was definitely a lot more fast paced, and you could definitely maneuver the mech around a lot quicker, and even using the shoulder buttons to move from side to side to dodge, and it definitely felt a lot more fluent compared to other style of games. Like this here game, even though like what it does present, it does do quite well, but it just wouldn't be as fast paced or as easily accessible or easy to pick up and play compared to other types of games that I've played, and I'm sure that many others haven't played. Now in saying that, it doesn't take away from what the game offers. Like if you're used to mech shooters, and if you're more of a particular player, or if you're more of an experienced player of these type of games, I'm sure you'll understand the whole aesthetic and the dynamic of the games more so than myself. And that's the thing, it's one of those games that it will cater to more a specific type of player, and it's one of those games because it is a simulation style game and it has those type of elements, so it will take a very different type of player to understand the whole aesthetic and the whole gameplay dynamic, to understand the controls and how to approach different situations. For the casual gamer coming into this, probably won't be a good idea because you'll just get slaughtered, but if you're more of a tactical style player, this game will probably suit you, and if you're used to these mech style games, this will probably be right up your street, but it just won't be for everybody. But it's still a game worth trying in its own right in all respects to it, because again there was a ton of these games released, especially in Japan for the PlayStation. Like even when I look back at it myself, and now that I'm getting to experience a lot of these games from other regions, I can't not believe the amount of mech shooters that the PlayStation PlayStation got access to back in the day, especially in Japan. And even when you look at even with the likes of the PS2, again, there's just a ridiculous amount of games. So it clearly shows that in Japan, these games are popular. There's no ifs or buts about it. And for that reason alone, it's interesting to see what they're like. And if you're curious to understand more about them, they definitely are worth trying out. And if you can get access to them, even through buying copies of them online through likes of eBay, or even having to play them through emulation, I do think that they are a worthwhile experience and something that really should be tried out, just to see something different in action. And I would love to know your thoughts on Gale Gunner for the PlayStation, if you have played this game before, or if you have played any more of these kind of 3D mech style games on the system. And I would love to know your thoughts of your experiences of these type of games, so be sure to share them down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content around other types of mech shooters that we're also seeing on the PlayStation, you can check out the playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.